Hello and welcome to the developer stream. And what an interesting one it is. We have Moligian this time. Hello, Moligian.
Hey, Buja. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Really excited about the patch. I think it's one with changes I really wanted back in my days when I was a competitive player. So yeah, I'm very excited.
I have to ask you, because it's the first time we're having you here, how does it feel to be part of CD Projekt Red? How does it feel to be on the other side?
Yeah, it feels great, of course. I mean, for past years, Gwent was like super important part of my life because I was very engaged in the community, made a lot of friends, etc. And this is the one piece of the puzzle I didn't have, like working on the game actually, and it feels amazing. It feels great to have impact on what's happening.
How has your approach overall changed since you joined Red? Because you were on the other side. You were, like you said, you were part of the community. You were doing a lot of casting. You were helping with content creation. You were doing a lot of things to keep this community going. You were also very vocal about the changes that we made, which I enjoyed a lot. And now you're kind of working with us. So how has the perspective changed for you?
So I think like so far the last 2 months helped me to understand that design isn't like card design isn't only about the competitive aspect of everything, because sometimes you have to keep in mind that Gwent is played by a lot of players who have different expectations, and the real skill in everything is to match all the expectations from different groups. And I think my approach changed in that regard, that I really try to remember that basically there's a lot of players and they might want different things. So I think that's quite important.
Okay, cool. So last question, so we don't have a too long intro because people will probably want to know what's going to happen with patch 7.3. But how do you feel influencing the game development? Because you're working with the gameplay team, you guys are working on the cards and their mechanics and changing things. And how does it feel to have this influence on the game?
It feels great, of course. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience, so I'm learning a lot. But it always feels great because I feel that I actually have impact on what's happening. One thing that is good about being a designer is like we are a bit like Siri. We are traveling through time and space, and we are in different timelines. For example, we might be working on the next patch, and after the workday, I launch Gwent to play it a bit, and there's the previous patch, and even though I would like to build a deck for the next one, right? So this is something I have to live with, I guess. But overall it feels great. But yeah, as I said, it's a bit like living in a different timelines.
Yeah, it's something interesting that you mentioned. I never thought about it that way, that you are working and designing something and playtesting something, and then you come home and you play the game. It's like, wait, this is this is different. Yeah. So that's fun. Thank you for that introduction. I'm happy to have you because it's the first time we had someone new, because normally it's either Jason or Ostre, and it's always nice to have a fresh face. We will be going, of course, through update 7.3. This is the one that launches on October 1st. So once you're watching this video, that means it will be tomorrow. With that, we'll also have the patch notes on playgwent.com in the news section, localized as always. But before we talk about 7.3, I would like to invite everybody to open number 4, which is happening on the 24th and 25th of October. And the most important thing is that we are planning to have a roadmap update, which I think most of you are waiting for. So don't miss that one. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be with Jason, and we will go over our plans when it comes to Gwent and the rest of the year, plus a little bit of probably looking into the future. Okay, patch notes I talked about. Update coming day later, I already said that. So on Thursday, people were surprised because we normally launch on Tuesdays, but this time it's on Thursday. Yeah. And one thing that is important to highlight is the change of the base set kegs into ultimate kegs. So you will now have cards from the expansion in the kegs. And with this change, we are also having a autumn sale. So it's fall already, it's getting colder. Weather isn't that good, so to spice things up and make things a little bit better, we're actually having a sale, and there will be a sale on the ultimate kegs. So this time, if you want to check them out and get more cool cards, you can pretty much get all of them. I think they'll be 30% off if I'm not mistaken. And there also will be a sale on the following ornaments: Anna Henrietta skin, Naglfar board, so the alternative ship board as we call it, and the tavern board. And we also will be having a Autumn Shoop set, which I am showing to you right now. So don't miss this one. And I think that is pretty much that. So, Legion, sorry to go on a tangent and the monologue, but housekeeping is important.
Of course.
So let's talk about balance changes, because it's a big one. And I think the most important topic that we need to cover is artifacts and artifact removal. So, Legion, take it away. What's happening here?
Yeah, so in 7.3 we are removing most of the artifact removal, not all of it, but most of the cards that remove artifacts, and we mostly focused on the ones that they felt like very impactful when they found the target and very bad when they didn't. So it was quite polarizing because, for example, cards like Vivian or Riol, right? It's 10 provision cards. If you find the scenario, it's almost game winning for you. But if you don't find it, it's just 1 point for 10 provisions. Very underwhelming. Same goes for plenty of other cards. So we wanted to remove that. We don't want the cards that are either super impactful or completely useless, and we replaced those cards with some others. Mm-hmm. That being said, not all ways of removing artifacts have been reworked. Karate Heatwave, for example, it will stay in the game as it is. You can still target artifacts with it. We decided to not change it because it's not a card like I mentioned before. It's good even if you don't find a target in artifact. It's just a decent control option. We wanted it to be quite unique rather than just remove a unit. So if you want to counter artifacts, there's also still that for you. Mm-hmm. Also, the other cards that can remove artifacts will be Shoop, but not on the Knight. Shoop will be able to remove artifacts on the Hunter, and Resilience is back on Knight, but I guess we will get to that. And on top of that, we are issuing some changes to scenarios. Not all of them, 3 of them stay unchanged. The strongest ones get some tweaks to adjust to the world without Bomb Keeper. Mm-hmm. And also another one will get a small buff, but we'll get to that, I guess. So
nice. So it overall a lot, because when I remember when we were first talking about the changes, I thought that this update will be a little bit smaller, that there won't be anything huge happening, but I think artifact removal was something that a lot of players talked about, and I also know that Bomb Heaver was kind of a meme because it was either a card that people would use and they would tech against artifacts, but if your opponent didn't have an artifact, then pretty much it wasn't fun to have that card on your head. It was just like a 4-point play, if I remember correctly, so it was like yeah.
Yeah, but if your opponent has the artifact actually, and you have like card like Oneiromancy, let's say, you would tutor it over most of your golds, so it suddenly becomes as good as your best cards in the deck. So that was a bit weird.
True that. So I will jump into the game actually, and we'll start with Bomb Heaver this time. So I will move on to that. Open my game. Deck builder. Here we go. Bomb Heaver. There we go. What's the change here?
So Bomb Heaver is now connected to bombs rather than artifacts, nice. And I guess it makes sense given the name. He damages an enemy unit by 1, but if you have a bomb, he damages by 3. So it's actually a decent card if you have the bomb in your hand, but the trick is that you need to actually have the bomb there. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, very flavorful here because, he synergizes with bombs, which totally makes sense. Okay, so we're starting, of course, with neutrals. So next one, I would say Vivienne. Give me a second to find her. There we go, Vivienne Oriole.
Yeah, Vivienne Oriole, I think people will like that change because I think the art is great and it never really saw play because it was so... weak when it didn't find the target, but now she has an ability. We wanted to keep the theme of Vivienne working with provisions, so she boosts herself by the provisions of units to the right. So if you have cards like the Great Oak or Droke, you can get 14 points. Pretty decent, I would say, for 10 provisions. And if I'm not mistaken, she has quite a cool VFX effect. So yeah, I think she's decent. She will actually see some play, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, it's a beautiful art, and it's nice that it's getting some more exposure. And yeah, I really like the ability. I think it will see a lot more play than it did before. All right, moving on, we have the Frenzied Dao.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
So Frenzied Dawa was another one of those cards that I either removed artifacts or did nothing, and now we changed it into a neutral tech that every faction can use if you need movement and you want to spend more provisions on that than on Strays or Spala. Frenzied Dawa is your friend. You can go for a 7/7. It's always a decent play, so you don't have to play a weak card to move something. So yeah, I think as a tech card, it's a decent option.
Yeah, agreed here. Really cool ability, and yeah, I also like this art a lot, and I like this card. So I also like the idea of moving a union to another row, because it's kind of like he's throwing those rocks and moving people away. So it makes total sense to me. Okay.
Yeah, you need to dodge those rocks.
Exactly. All right. Demeritium Bomb is the next one, and here we have it.
Yeah, that's a fun one because on first glance it might not be great, but it can really troll your opponent. For example, if you play against SquareTill and your opponent is out of Dryad Caresses, the cards that purify, you can use it on Hamadryad and deny the opponent the option to give more vitality to Hamadryad. You can use it on cards like Immortals, for example. They regain the shield, and whenever they do your shoot, they boost up by 2, but you can be like, nope, no more shield for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the ultimate troll cards, basically. So you can do some cheeky plays with it.
Nice. I think we'll be going through another bomb next, but yeah, this one's really cool. Next one is Dancing Star, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. There we go.
Yeah, so Dancing Star used to remove artifacts or damage unit by 3, depending on the board state. And now it damages unit by 3, and if it kills it, it bounces the damage to the right. And if you kill the unit to the right, you get another bounce. So it's basically, we wanted the theme of a bouncing bomb, because it's the Dancing Star after all. Yeah, so you can use this to remove some tokens. Mostly, I think this is the best use for it.
That's really cool, yeah. And yeah, like you said, thematic. It's dancing from enemy to enemy and causing damage. That's awesome. All right. Next up, we have Blizzard. There we go.
So this card might look familiar to some people, because we used to have a card like that. It was called Epidemic back in the day.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but in early Homecoming it was very, very strong, mostly because you could have 2 copies of it, because it was a bronze. There was no initiative back in the game, so you could set up big board webs with it. But now this effect is back on Blizzard for 8 provisions. So if you want to have a control effect like that in your deck, you can have it now.
Nice. Yeah, like you said, I was looking at the description for a second. I was like, wait, this is Epidemic, actually. Yeah.
Also, a nice thing about it is that Scorch, which is fire element, removes the tallest unit. So Blizzard, which is the ice element, removes the lowest units. Okay,
nice. Next up, we have Shoop's Days Off, and here we have a change to Shoop Hunter. Yes.
So Shoop has fallen off a bit. He's not that strong anymore. So we thought that the resilience option he has on Hunter could go back to Knight. And instead of resilience on Hunter, now we have the destroy an artifact option. So if you really like Bomb Heaver, you just need to have Shoop in your deck, and maybe he will give it to you for a 60% chance. In some situations, it will still be a very good play to remove a scenario with that. So I think that's okay, but you are not stuck with that specific ability. And the other one is Shoop Knight, which used to destroy artifact, but now it has resilience.
Yeah. Nice. So a nice little change here to Shoop. Like you said, maybe thanks to this, you will see a little bit more play now. Is there anything else when it comes to neutrals? I don't think there's anything else we want to show, but there are, I think, 2 more changes that we wanted to highlight. So What else is happening with neutral cards with this update?
Phoenix gets provision cost lowered, which I'm very happy about because it's one of my favorite cards. So Phoenix provision cost is changed from 13 to 11. We can do that because Karantir can no longer copy him. You can no longer make another copy with Death Shadow. So this change opened up a buff like this. So we are happy with that. Also, Olgierd von Everett has a bandit category. He didn't have like Olgierd Immortal actually had it, but Olgierd von Everett didn't. So yeah, we fixed that.
Yeah, gotta keep it for the flavor in this case. All right, you want to move on to monsters?
Yeah, let's go.
Cool. So we start with Solano Harpy, I think. So there we go. I just got it.
Yeah. I think this one is great. This change is really cool because currently Solano Harpy is a weaker version of Barghest, kind of, because you have the same ability, but you don't have the bonus on order. So we wanted it to be a little bit more unique. And we went with a flavorful solution of having bonded to spawn a Harpy egg in this row. So you actually get a lot of points if you have the bonded effect. So yeah, hopefully Harpy will see light of the day now.
Yeah, it's a really cool ability, and I think it will make the card a lot more viable. And hopefully it will cater to those people who are unhappy about monsters not being strong enough. So hopefully this will make them happy. But yeah, like you said, I really, really like this change, and I think the card will see play for sure. Okay, what's next for monsters? Siren, I would say?
Yeah, Siren, I think.
There we go. We got her.
Yeah, so Siren used to boost Death Wish units, which didn't make a lot of sense because you want to consume Death Wish units, so you don't want to make an even bigger unit. So we changed it to just boost beasts. And that's it.
Yeah, boost an ally by 1, if it's a beast, boosted by 3 instead. Easy. Anything else that I should be showing here now for monsters? Anything else you want to highlight?
We can just mention that those are the bigger changes, but we have a couple of buffs, like Ghoul power going from 1 to 2, for example. Naglfar's crew now has 1 armor, so we have some small buffs for monsters. I think people will be happy about those buffs, but from the bigger changes, that will be it.
Nice. Okay, so we're done with monsters. We can move to Skellige. And with Skellige, first up we have Darren. I think we will start with him. So a couple changes here. Okay, I got him.
So Darren was a little bit left in the past because at the very early homecoming he was quite good. He could move 3 units to graveyard, but he was nerfed then because that ability was very powerful and was a little bit forgotten. So what we did, we gave him the Greatsword treatment. Now his base power is higher, but he damages himself on deploy and then moves a card from your deck to your graveyard. So you can use it in a couple of ways. For example, if you're playing at Battle Trance deck, you can move your Chrome Mother to graveyard and then heal Darren up with some alchemies or other druids like Flaminica. Also, if you happen to draw Darren in round 3, and you have no targets for him, you can just play him in the melee row. He plays for 7 then, so he's overall much better.
Nice. A solid change here for sure. So we got Darren. Next up, Rage of the Sea, I would say.
Yeah, so Rage of the Sea, I think, wins the award for the king of the season. I think it was very popular, very powerful, and very flexible. So we decided to nerf it a bit. What we did is we lowered the provision bonus it offers from 14 to 13. Also, we felt like if having a 12-point leader is cool and it's nice, but you can't have also free charges on it because you can spend the charges very freely. It's not much of a commitment to use 1 charge to catch up, to pressure the opponent. So now you spawn rain on enemy row for 2 turns and the defending Siren on the opposite row, but you have 2 charges. So you need 2 turns to get full effect from each charge, and spending a charge is much more committal than it was before.
Nice. Solid change here. We'll see if it will still see a lot of play, but I feel like yes, because it's still very, very solid ability.
Yeah, I think it's very good.
Yeah, agreed here. I think Stunning Blow is the one. I think the last one that we will.
Yeah, we can go to Uncreate Greatswords too. It's a small change, if you don't mind, Pavel.
Oh, I don't mind, man. You're the boss here. Uncreate Greatsword. Here we go.
Yeah, so we love the new Greatsword actually, and people seem to like him a lot too. We think it's a great rework, but he seems to be a little bit too powerful. So we increase the damage he deals to himself by 1. So now the Skellige player needs a little bit more effort to protect his Greatsword, and the opponent can remove it with, for example, 4 damage removal if nothing was done, or 5 damage if only 1 ping happened. So this should make Greatsword a little bit more easier to counter.
Nice. Nice change. Okay. And Stunning Blow is next. There we go.
So Stunning Blow, on first glance, it might look like a buff, but it's neither a buff nor a nerf, I think. We just thought that a card that can remove cards like Glynis or Percival or Danka, Herkia shouldn't cost 4 provisions, because for 4 provisions, Stunning Blow was extremely efficient. You could put it in any Skellige deck. It was just always good option. You never felt bad about playing it, and sometimes you got a big payoff of removing like cards as I mentioned, Danka, Glynis, Percival. So we thought that such a good removal tool should have higher cost. So we increased the cost to 5, but it would feel a little bit bad in comparison to cards like Nature's Rebuke or Boiling Oil if it only dealt 4 damage. So now it's basically a Skellige version of Nature's Rebuke. It deals 5 damage, but if the unit has armor, it deals 6 damage. So it still removes cards like Glynis and Percival, but you need to pay for it.
Yeah.
And also Stunning Blow. I mean, there's another card in Skellige that deals 4 damage. 6 on a condition. It's a Gutting Slash, but it was a little bit in the shadow of Stunning Blow. So now they are a bit different. They have different costs. Maybe this will make people consider if they want to spend that many provisions on such removal.
Yeah, nice change, and flavorful because like you see in the flavor text. It clanged like hitting a belt, or then you fell to the ground unconscious, dark blood gushing from underneath the dented metal. So a little play on armor here. Anything else when it comes to Skellige they want to add to the list? In terms of changes.
Okay, I'm back. I don't think we need to go further into Skellige. I think that would be the most important changes.
Okay, cool. So what? NR next? Yeah,
NR next. Although the changes here are mostly numbers, but we can go through them. So Northern Realms was still quite solid in this season. And we decided to give it some nerfs. For example, Viraxas, Prince, Outcast, King provision changed from 11 to 12, so he's in line with other evolving cards. Amphibious Assault, I think by many considered to be one of the best cards in the game. Now costs 13, I think at 13 it's still very good. Shield Wall has provision bonus reduced to 13 also, so that's a total of 3 provisions taken away from the meta Shield Wall deck. Also, if you could show Damned Sorceress.
Give me a second, because I was showing Shield Wall. Damned Sorceress, there we go.
Yeah, so the ability hasn't changed, but now it actually has charges. So you can add more charges to Damned Sorceress to get this effect, so you can have nice combos like the one with Immortals, or maybe with Kedweni Cavalry, you can add more shields to that. So it's another way of using your charges.
Yeah, exactly. Really cool change. And I also have the Siege is now doomed as the last one on the list.
Yeah, but that's also, I mean, it's now that you mentioned it, we can I guess mention that this also applies to all the other scenarios. This will be particularly important in Nilfgaard. But I will elaborate on that a little bit later.
All right.
But yeah, that's the case.
So I think we can move on to SquareTill and start with Feign Death.
Yeah, the best faction, am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I'm happy when people say that. Totally agree here.
Yeah, so Feign Death was different from other scenarios because on the prologue it didn't spawn an engine, and that's why the power level of Feign Death was quite low for current standards, and we decided to change the prologue to spawn Vernosiel's Commander rather than Deadeye, Elven Deadeye. But also we increased the provision cost to 14.
Okay.
So it's now more in line with other scenarios.
Yeah, I agree here. Okay. What's next on the roster?
Brickhead Dragoon, perhaps?
Dragoon? Okay. There we go.
So Brickhead Dragoon used to cost 5 and have 5 power. Now it's 4 power, 4 provisions. We think that it's a movement tech. SquareTill should be good at it, and it shouldn't cost 5 provisions to move something. So for 4 provisions, it seems decent. So now the card is just better, I think. Even though it has 1 less power, the effect is less expensive.
Agreed. Nice change overall. Okay, since we're on the topic of Riot Officer next. There we go.
So this is another one with Bonded. Now you can have both effects if you have another copy of Riot Officer on the board, so just better when you have 2 of them.
No, agreed. Bonded use both abilities is always something good, and I actually like using bonded abilities. I think they're very flavorful, and especially when it comes to this officer and his army charging on to the battlefield. And I think Polly is the last one, if I'm not mistaken. Polly Dahlberg.
So, yeah, Polly Dahlberg, if I remember correctly, currently he can either move a unit or give an allied unit 2 armor, depending on the row you play him in. But now he can do both. The first effect is on deploy, and the second is on order, so he's also just better. You can use him to disable something and maybe give 2 armor to Pavko Gale, for example, to protect.
Good choice. Yeah, nice change. And that's it for SquareTill, right?
That's correct. I mean, we have other smaller changes again, but not. I guess it's not worth to mention them now.
Yeah, you will see them in the patch notes, which are dropping also today. So we move on to Nilfgaard now, and I think we should start with everybody's favorite ball. And there we go, Masquerade Ball. Small change, but big change, yes?
Yeah, small change, but big change. So I think everybody who was scared that they will have to live in a world of double ball without bomb heavers can now breathe a sigh of relief, because Masquerade Ball is now doomed. We think that a scenario should only be played once. The main weakness of scenarios is that they are slow tempo play, and if you can play them twice, it kind of diminishes this weakness, because you can play them in round 1. Tempo doesn't matter in round 1, so you can get a lot of value, trade well with the opponent, or win the round, and then play it again in round 3, where tempo might not matter again. So we think that it shouldn't be possible to play them twice. Also, Masquerade Ball is very strong, one of the best cards in the game. It has a lot of potential because of poisons, because Thirsty Dame is such a good card. So we increased the provisions of Masquerade Ball from 14 to 15 as a compensation for the change to Bomb Heaver and other artifact removal cards. So this is just a price that you have to pay for no Bomb Heavers. I think it's still worth it, because you never have to hear catch and get the... I mean, you will hear catch maybe if somebody plays Bomb Heaver with bombs, but it won't disable your Masquerade Ball. If you are a Nilfgaard player, however, I think you don't have to worry, because while Masquerade Ball got a little bit nerfed, we have a bunch of good cool buffs, and I guess we can move on to Palmerin.
Yep, let me find our boy Palmerin. There we go.
So we are aware that Nilfgaard players would like to do something else than just keep playing Masquerade Ball, so we are trying to buff other archetypes for Nilfgaard. The Milton Palmerin duo, it was never really played that much, so we decided to give that duo some love. Palmerin used to apply shields to your units, but in Nilfgaard it's not so useful. It's not such a useful effect, so we gave it something that will be more useful for the faction. And we thought that Milton works well with spies, because you can actually set him up with your own spies. So we wanted to give Palmerin something that synergizes with that too. So now if you have a Milton in your hand, or if you trigger the Deathflow, you can apply some more spying statuses to enemy units. So Palmerin goes on the hunt for spies and traitors. And you can buff your dames, buff your seditious aristocrats, give charges to Imperial Enforcers. There's a lot of ways to use that ability. Also, Milton costs now 7 provisions. So both guys cost 7, so they are cheaper to include.
Yeah, that you also mentioned that's the same thing. I'm also showing Milton right now. So Milton, the Payran provision change from 8 to 7.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. I really like this change. Okay, so we have those. Anything else here? I think Slave Hunter is next when it comes to a bigger change, unless you want something before that.
Yeah, we can go to Slave Hunter. This change will look familiar if you followed the changes we did in the last patch. We changed some of the deploy abilities to orders and increased their power by 1 point, so Slave Hunter got the same treatment here. And yeah, he's basically the same, but now he has 1 more point and order instead of deploy. Also, there's a bunch of other provision buffs and power buffs to Nilfgaard, like quite a lot of them, but I guess you will see them in the patch notes.
Agreed. Nice change overall. And I think the highlight for everybody talking about the changes will be Nilfgaard for sure. And changes to double ball, which is only single ball now. Okay, you want to move on to Syndicate?
Yeah, I think we can go to Syndicate.
What should we start off with?
Passiflora, perhaps?
Alright. Passiflora it is. There we go.
So, the chapters, they stay the same, but they are now in different order. We did that because, again, as a compensation for removing bomb heavers. Passiflora is one of the 2 most powerful scenarios together with Masquerade Ball. Its main strength comes with the fact that it spawns 2 engines, so now it still spawns 2 engines, but now the first engine is Passiflora Peaches, and if you want to get the second engine, which is Slice Adactus, you need another trigger of the scenario, so it's basically delayed by a turn.
Nice, cool change. Payday, next?
Yeah, Payday. Let's go for Payday.
There we go, Payday.
So Payday is one currently in 7.2. It's one of those cards that have very big risk, and the reward is not so big because you can have up to 7 points from it. So we changed Payday to match Nature's Rebuke, Boiling Oil, Stunning Blow. Cards like that, so it's another control option for Syndicate, but now more reliable, less risky. But of course, the point ceiling is lower. Yeah,
I agree here. Okay, is there anything else for Syndicate that you want to cover?
Everything else will be in the patch notes. It's number changes. We have some other buffs for Syndicate too.
All right. When it comes to game fixes, the one additional thing that we have is a simple change to veteran keyword contracts now progressing correctly. I think that's a good one, and I think that's it. I mean, those are the big ones when it comes to 7.3. Like you mentioned, there are still a couple of changes that we did not cover when it comes to power and provision, of course, and those you'll be able to find in the patch notes, which of course come out today. So be on the lookout for those. Once again, reminder about Open number 4, which is at the end of October, last weekend of October, 24th, 25th. And that is also when we will be doing the roadmap update with Jason. And I think that's it. Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you. It was awesome having you for the first time, and I hope that we'll get to do this again soon. And to everybody watching, thank you for watching. It was awesome to go over 7.3. And like I said, patch is coming tomorrow. Cool. All right,
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.